All right, welcome back. We have our third consecutive Thursday night football predictions coming up here. Today we have Arizona versus Green Bay. Arizona is a 6.5-point favorite. Before we get into it, just want to give the final injury report for key players. For anybody in this Zoom who wasn't aware, no Devontae Adams, no Alan Lazard, and no Bakhtiari still. And then for the Cardinals, there is no Rodney Hudson and obviously no J.J. Watt because he basically tore everything on the right side of his body and was like, what if I played? Chandler Jones is back for the Cardinals, so it's good. I originally had Marquez Valdez-Scantling returning, but he is not going to. They're not planning to activate him for tonight. So, Frank, would you like to give your first prediction? Which team, by how many, and a score?
I'm gonna take the Cardinals by like 10 points, probably like 30-20, and that's just because the Packers are playing like basically everyone missing. Like Devontae's on the COVID list, Alan Lazard's on the COVID list, and now Valdez-Scantling's not playing either. So I just don't see how they're gonna hang with the Cardinals offense.
Some would say Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Randall Cobb, and Robert Tonyan, but
yeah, I don't trust Cobb and Tonyan enough.
Okay, so it's 30-20, Cardinals by 10 on Frank's side. Pat, who you got?
I've got the Packers 37-31.
Packers by 6.
Indeed.
I also have the Cardinals scoring 31. But I have the Cardinals by 7, 31-24. I just think Cardinals are home, by the way. I think since they're home and even without J.J. Watt, that's still a seriously good defense. Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker, they've all been playing really well. Chandler Jones is back, 5 sacks in week 1. And just the offensive firepower that is on Arizona is going to be a little bit too much for Green Bay to handle. All right. Moving on of that. What do we think about fantasy starts? Maybe give one from each team. In terms of like someone that like you might not always be starting because, if you have Aaron Jones, you're starting Aaron Jones. If you have, if he was playing, if you have Devontae Adams, but like if you have DeAndre Hopkins, you're starting DeAndre Hopkins. But like maybe some guys that you might be iffy on, or buy might be an issue. So you're looking for a flex play. So who you got, Frank?
Probably start AJ Green from Arizona, and for the Packers, guess I'll go with Cobb, since everyone of the receivers is injured.
Yep. Pat?
I have 2 for the Packers with Mason Crosby. He's indoors now, so I think I've finally bounced back from that bad game against the Bengals a couple of weeks ago. And I've got Equanimeous St. Brown.
Equanimeous St. Brown, Notre Dame legend.
Yep.
Yeah. He's somewhere number 2 on the wide receiver depth chart tonight. So,
important note about Equanimeous St. Brown: he currently has more tackles than targets this season. So this is a shot in the dark here.
That is very bold.
Brother of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Denver Lions wide receiver.
Of course, Pat played a kicker, bro.
I'm starting St. Brown in both of my fantasy leagues.
Frank, what's the issue with you and Pat's picks?
There's 37 points for the Packers. Ain't seeing that. That just seems egregious.
Egregious.
Very egregious. They've struggled. I don't see how they put up 37 without Devontae. Right? It just doesn't happen.
Pretty easy. They just score some touchdowns. Decent amount.
Yeah, because it's that easy, Pat. Right?
Yeah.
When you have
just
Aaron
go up and
Rodgers,
down the field. Go up and down the field on the Cardinals' very good defense.
Frank,
7 points.
What's the Packers' record in games where Devontae Adams has been out with an injury?
I don't know. I don't memorize that.
It's 6-0. So thank you very much.
That doesn't mean. Oh my God. That doesn't mean it's just gonna win this game.
Okay, so for my fantasy picks, On the Green Bay Packers, I am also going with Randall Cobb. I like the Equinemius St. Brown shout from the Notre Dame ties behind me, but I think Tunyon is more reliable than him. I think Jones is more reliable. I honestly think AJ Dillon out gets more targets than him. But Randall Cobb in the past has had a really good rapport with Rodgers, and so I think they kind of get back to what they were doing back in the day. And then for Arizona, I think me and Pat talked the other day about during the Packers versus the Washington football team about like the bend don't break style that the defense the Packers played in that game, where like the Washington football team just kept getting in the red zone. And granted, the Washington football team is very inefficient in the red zone, but the Packers were kind of just like letting them get down there and then holding them there, stopping them on fourth down, getting an interception, like making big plays to not allow them to score. And so I think the Cardinals are going to get a little fancy on them. And so I think Rondale Moore is going to be the play here. He's had a couple big games, a couple small games. I think he gets a couple carries, maybe rushes one in from the wide receiver position. And I don't know. I just feel like with their receivers, it's always a toss up because nobody's really obviously Hopkins is the best, but he's very touchdown dependent. 36.5% of his fantasy points this year have come from touchdowns. So I would say Rondale Moore is the play for me if you're just looking for a shot in the dark, but if you have a more established kind of questionable roster, I would say grab Randall Cobb for some steady points.
Equinemius Brown.
Equinemius St. Brown, yes. Frank, what is your interesting stat of the week?
For this game?
No, for the week.
For the week, yeah.
Yeah, just one interesting stat you heard.
Any interesting stat? Don't know. I haven't heard many stats this week.
Me and
Haven't been keeping up.
Me and Pages weren't too active this week, huh?
You're so dumb, Ryan. You're so dumb. Just because I hate on the Chiefs doesn't mean I get all my info from meme pages. Actually, stop, Dick.
Pat, what's your interesting stat of the week?
I'll stick with the Packers are 6-0 without Devontae Adams.
Stop. That doesn't mean anything, Pat.
And finally, my interesting stat. Do you care about my opinion, Frank, or are you just gonna?
You weren't speaking it actually, so yeah,
Okay.
somewhat going.
My interesting stat of the week is that Jalen Hurts, the number 2 quarterback in all of fantasy football, number 4 player in all of fantasy football, scores a whopping 43.4% of all of his fantasy points in the fourth quarter of games.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I know it is. That's why I said it for my interesting fact of the week.
The garbage time Eagles.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so
Yeah.
you heard it.
I got another
Yeah.
interesting stat actually. My interesting stat is this is the last podcast Frank will be recording with us.
Yeah, he's retired.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
All right. So yeah, just to wrap up, we got 2 Cardinals picks, 1 Packer pick. Randall Cobb, AJ Green, Rondale Moore, Mason Crosby, Equinemius St. Brown. I can only sign off on 2 of those picks. Injury report: no Devontae, no Lazard, no Bakhtiari, no Marcus Valdez-Scantling.
I thought Bakhtiari was coming back.
He's not.
You thought wrong.
And then on the Cardinal side, no Rodney Hudson, no JJ Watt, but Chandler Jones is a go. Yeah. So 2 of us have the Cardinals covering the spread. Pat has the Packers. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next week.